Hello. Happy Wednesday. Sorry, just getting around to making this video, but really just gonna reiterate everything I said in my text, and then I'm also about to make your video for CC4, which saw a lot of huge improvements, so yay to that. But from this video that you sent, and then I could have sworn that you uploaded the document later that day when I asked you about it, but for some reason it's gone again, so just send it to me whenever you can. So yeah, that posture is really, really important. I do remember my other mentee who had her leg was up a lot, but if you can, really try and encourage both feet flat. And remember that the goal is a straight back with their hips all the way pushed back. So a lot of times I prompt like hips all the way back, back up against the chair, push your hips back. And then there's that 90 degrees, and then they're sitting and their knees are another 90, and then their feet to their feet to the floor is another 90. You want them flat on the floor. So always remember that 90, 90, 90. And then with that too, that gives them the optimal poking range. And yes, for Elise or any other client you may have, a lot of times, if they're like tall and lanky, or even if they're not, they might lean over and rest their elbow on their leg, or if you're over the table, which I always say don't do that anyways, they might rest their hand on the table. I even have some guys who will hold their hand, but I seem to correlate that a little bit more with, once they're tired towards the end of the session. But yeah, you never want any support for the hand or leaning over. So you always want to just keep prompting arm up, elbow up, lift that arm up. And you might sound like a broken record, but and yep, push the chair further away, which you did in the next video, which is great. And the board was a little more down, which was awesome, and you could really tell the difference in her accuracy and pokes. Try not to snap when you're trying to help with the initiation or anything, just because that could be triggering, or who knows. Just instead, I would use more gestural or directional. And yeah, don't be shy to have that other hand up for the gestural, because that'll help with some corners and little adjustments like that, and then you'll fade it away. Fix the pencil grip, which you did, but yeah, you always kind of want it around here. It's tough, and because Elise is so seasoned, I guess, and experienced, she might have a little more accuracy, but if you can, really try and adjust it, because you'll notice a difference with her accuracy. Awesome continuation prompts. If anything, I would just kind of bring the overall tone down a little bit. I struggle with that a lot with myself, because I have a very loud, enthusiastic, I'm a very passionate person. But lately I've noticed a lot of people working even better with when I really try and like, okay, next letter, and just really almost like whisper. It's hard and it's challenging, but I notice a big, big difference. And Elise seems to be totally fine, but just overall in general, I would bring it down a couple notches of volume, and yeah. And yep, remember those spell onlys are just 2 or 3 at the beginning of lesson, and then she was super accurate, so then just move on to greens and greens only. Never have to do another spell for that particular session. The few times that I do jump back down to spells would be if it's a really tricky busy body, or if someone seems to be super, super dysregulated, I try and do a spell just to kind of encourage that success and give them something that they don't have to think about too much, motor or cognitive. And then also to be mindful whenever you're reading keywords. I try and it's tough, it comes with more practice, but I try to spell out only 3 or 4 words, whether or not there's 8 words capitalized. And then it's up to your discretion which words you feel are most relevant for the age of the client you're working with. So Elise, there were quite a few pretty simple words that I would just avoid. And even if there's a chunk that just has a bunch of words that she definitely knows, then I would just skip reading them out loud, and you can just still say, use them in a question. Because, remember, I think she has a full, legit high school degree and is going to college, so sometimes reading out too many keywords disrupts the flow, and then also just be mindful of the age of the client, and you can pick and choose which keywords. Most of the times, though, I always read out names just because you never know how names can be spelled, and those are important part to emphasize. But yeah, it's going great. The main things I would take away from this would be really work on that posture and making sure her chair is far enough from the table. And then try do a few more gestural prompts, and try and just bring down the overall tone. Oh, and then also when you are prompting, instead of having to say she's spelling soccer, so instead of S then, and then if you have to pull out a new board and then say S then, you don't have to say the S again. So just say S next letter, or what's next, or keep going. And then also too, if she's got SOC, and she seems to be super Miss Pokey, then just kind of reset it. And if you feel the need to have to say, okay, your last letter you poked was C, keep going. Instead of S then, O then, C then, next letter after C. So yeah, try and keep that continuation prompt to you just say the letter that they poked one time before the next letter. And yeah, you're doing great, implementing feedback, asking questions. Keep up the good work.